The night air in Namenden was thick with the scent of rain and hidden shadows. A young girl sprinted through the narrow alleyway, her screams echoing off the brick walls. Two men with sinister grins followed close behind her, their footsteps heavy on the pavement. Suddenly, a young boy stepped out from the darkness, standing motionless in their path. He told the men to run immediately if they had any desire to keep living. When they refused to listen, Camison reached up and slowly peeled a medical patch from his neck. A deep dark hole was revealed beneath the adhesive, pulsating with a strange energy. Within seconds, a massive black ant erupted from the shadows behind the girl and tore through the air. The men were silenced instantly as the creature's jaws snapped shut with lethal precision. The following morning, the Bug Reaper investigation team swarmed the grisly scene. They discovered severed limbs and property damage that suggested an Insector attack of unprecedented scale. Inside a local high school, a student named Choa sat reading about the mysterious creatures. The book detailed the rise of monsters in 2005 who wore insect masks and fed on human flesh. Their teacher entered the room, his eyes scanning the students with a cold, predatory gaze. Camison sat in the back of the room, calmly munching on snacks, as if the world were at peace. Two bullies approached Choa, demanding that she help them avoid their homework assignments. To their shock, Camison stood up and handed in his completed work, without a word of hesitation. The bullies followed him back to his seat, mocking the medical patch on his neck as a hickey. As the patch was ripped away, a small twitching black ant crawled out from the dark hole. The bully recoiled in disgust, but his friends laughed, assuming it was just a strange prank. Later, Choa found herself assigned to stay after school for a cleaning punishment alongside her friends. She had asked Camison to walk her home, but he had coldly refused her request. In the quiet corridors, the sound of rhythmic clicking began to echo against the lockers. A scream erupted as the teacher Insector suddenly appeared and decapitated a student with one swipe. Students fled in every direction as the monstrous creature began its bloody feast. Choa stood frozen as the creature loomed over her, recognizing her as the class president. The teacher snarled that she should have listened to his orders before raising his weapon to strike. A swarm of black ants suddenly surged forward, severing both of the monster's hands in a flash. A figure clad in obsidian black armor stood between the girl and the dying monster. The creature demanded to know why one of its own kind was protecting a mere human. Camison responded with a devastating punch that sent the monster flying through a concrete wall. The monster transformed into a high-speed ball, crashing into Camison with relentless force. Camison remained unyielding, his black armor absorbing the impacts with metallic clangs. He enlarged his hands into massive crushing claws and thrust them into the creature's core. With a surge of raw power, he ripped the teacher Insector into multiple bloody fragments. Reverting to his human form, Camison walked away from the devastation without looking back. Later that night, Camison lay on his bed as a line of ants crawled through his window. The insects entered the hole in his neck, returning to the hive living within his veins. He realized that his secret was no longer safe, and the hunt for his kind had only just begun. Far away, a mysterious figure watched a video of the school massacre, focusing on the black armor. The figure whispered a name that sent a chill through the room: Ant Castle Project. As Camison drifted to sleep, he didn't realize that a deadly predator was already closing in on his home. Camison wakes in the middle of the night to the sound of something skittering across his floor. A line of black ants crawls through the window frame, heading straight for the hole in his neck. He grinds his teeth as the ants re-enter his body, their tiny legs scratching against his internal organs. The next morning, Camison notices a secretive energy lingering in the school hallways. He senses a hidden voice calling out to him from the rooftops above the campus. Following the signal, he arrives at an industrial site and immediately transforms into his armored Ant-Man form. He lunges at a lurking figure, but his fist strikes nothing but a hollow shell of silk. A barrage of explosive threads erupts from the shadows, catching him in a deadly trap. A girl named Silk steps forward, her yellow hair flowing as she demands to know if he has ever killed his own kind. Alongside her, a massive Insector with a Gatling gun appears, declaring that Camison is now meat for the hierarchy. Camison shatters his current shell to escape Silk's binding, leaping into the air for a counterstrike. The heavy gunner opens fire, filling the room with high-caliber rounds that shred the surrounding concrete pillars. Silk kicks him mid-air, her leg movements blurring with supernatural speed. Just as the situation turns dire, Pio and Taye from the Bug Reaper group arrive to intervene. Silk uses a smoke bomb to vanish, leaving the Bug Reapers confused and empty-handed. Camison slips away in the chaos, returning to his human life before the authorities can identify him. Despite the danger, an insatiable hunger begins to gnaw at his stomach from the inside out. In a hidden locker room, Silk transforms back into Yejin, the brave girl from Camison's class. Her boss, an insector named Jang Yol, threatens her for failing to capture the black ant. Yejin realizes she is merely a tool for the celestial insects and decides to quit the dirty work. She watches in horror as Jang Yol kills an escaping human boy with a cold-blooded explosion. The next day at school, Camison's hunger reaches a breaking point as he consumes 10 lunches at once. When a bully named Nosu teases him for his appetite, Camison nearly loses control of the ants within. He rushes out to an alleyway where his upper body spontaneously transforms into his insect form. Yejin follows him and uses her threads to restrain him, preventing a full-scale rampage. After he calms down, she carries him home, covered in blood but refusing to let him die. Camison wakes up the next day to find his grandmother treating his wounds, unaware of his true nature. Realizing they share a common enemy, Camison and Yejin agree to investigate Club Sixshot together. Yejin infiltrates the club first, stunned by the sheer scale of the underworld organization. She descends into a VIP arena where humans and insectors fight for the entertainment of the elite. A massive insector named Queen Jack dominates the ring, crushing opponents with a single blow. Back at school, Choa watches Camison and Yejin whisper to each other, feeling left out of their secret world. The situation at school escalates when Sean, Choa's friend, begins to transform into an unstable larva form. Camison senses Sean's energy and realizes the celestial insects are distributing bug pills to students. He decides to break into Club Sixshot's main reactor to stop the production of the deadly pills. He bursts through the glass and immediately encounters the club's enforcer, a water strider Insector. The strider moves with liquid grace, slicing through Camison's armor with twin swords. Camison taps into the mysterious red power he gained from Jang Yol to enhance his speed. With a single explosive strike, he shatters the strider's blades and its spirit. As he looks at the shattered office, a holographic message from the celestial leader Kojima appears, revealing he has been watching everything. Camison stands amidst the smoking ruins of the underground facility, his black ant armor pulsing with a rhythmic, dark light. Across from him, his twin brother Michon floats with a terrifying aura, the air around him distorting from the sheer density of insect genes he has absorbed. Michon holds the primitive toy sword Camison made for him years ago, its edges now sharp with lethal intent. With a roar of built-up resentment, Michon lunges forward, his speed surpassing the human eye's ability to track. Camison crosses his armored forearms just in time to block a strike that shatters the concrete floor beneath them. The black ants within Camison's body scream as Michonne begins to drain their energy through the point of contact. Yejin watches from the periphery, her threads reaching out to stabilize the collapsing ceiling as the brothers' duel threatens to bury them all. She shouts for Camison to use the red ant's core, the final gift from their mother's legacy. Camison ignores the pain and forces his body closer to his brother, wrapping him in a crushing embrace. He whispers that they were never meant to be weapons, only brothers who should have shared a life together. Michon rejects the sentiment, conjuring a swarm of wasps that sting and tear at Camison's unprotected neck. Blood trickles down Camison's chest, but he refuses to let go, his grip tightening like an unbreakable vice. The singular red ant dormant in Camison's neck finally awakens, surging with the power to consume the very source of their insect nature. Michon feels his stolen powers being systematically dismantled, as if a predator higher on the food chain has finally appeared. The facility groans under the weight of the massive energy discharge, with steel walls warping like wax. Camison closes his eyes, visualizing the ants returning to the earth, leaving them both as simple humans once more. Kojima's residual consciousness within the facility screams in the background as the Ant Castle project is finally deleted from existence. A massive white explosion engulfs the entire mountain, visible for miles across the Seoul skyline. Silence falls over the charred crater that remains of the once impenetrable headquarters. Camison coughs, his armor gone, lying on his back and staring at the stars through the smoke. Beside him, Michonne is also human, his face free of the twisted insectoid features that had haunted him for a decade. Yejin stumbles toward them, her own insect traits suppressed, looking more like the student class leader than a killer. She checks Camison's pulse and finds it strong, her hands shaking with relief. In the distance, the sirens of the Boogreaper rescue teams signal the arrival of help and the end of the nightmare. Camison's grandmother arrives at the scene, carried by Sun, and she bursts into tears at the sight of both her grandsons safe. She embraces them both, the cycle of the Ant Castle project finally broken by the power of a family's love. The news later reports the total dismantling of the Insector underworld, as the hierarchy collapsed without its celestial leaders. Camison returns to school weeks later, the hole in his neck now a faint fading scar. Choa greets him with a bright smile, handing him a snack, just like they used to share before the chaos. Yejin and Michon are seen studying together in the library, reclaiming the years they lost to the experiment. The threat of the celestial insects is gone, and the world slowly learns to heal from its hidden wounds. Camison looks up at the blue sky, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin without the constant hunger of the swarm. He realizes that true power wasn't the armor or the strength, but the choice to remain human when the world tried to make him a monster. His grandmother's restaurant is busier than ever, serving as a haven for the friends they made along the way. Even the Boog Reapers have transitioned into a global conservation group, monitoring the natural world they once fought. Camison walks home with his brother Michon, the two of them arguing playfully about what to eat for dinner. The memory of the red ant remains a secret, a silent guardian that ensured their freedom. Life returns to a beautiful normalcy, where a boy with a scar is just a boy with a future. The story of the Ant-Man ends not with a bang, but with the quiet sound of a family coming home. They were lost in the swarm, but now they are finally, truly free.